Most unsettling discoveries ever made.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Titanic. I'm your host, Alexa. Before we get into today's video, let's just say that some discoveries are best left unmade. If you're new here, make sure that you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload.
Slipped my mind. Researchers have figured out a way of ridding the mind of specific fears. Using brain scanning technology and AI, this groundbreaking procedure can treat phobias and anxieties. It scans the brain and identifies certain fears and then erases them from memory. Sounds absolutely amazing, but here are the cons. What if people use this technology to manipulate the brain? What if memories were altered for you to forget vitally important information? Best to stick with good old therapy for now. Face the facts. Nobody aboard the HMS Terror and the HMS Erebus could have ever imagined that they might be dining on each other when they set off on their voyages in 1845. The aim was to navigate the North Passage. But the ships were stuck in ice and men had hoped it would melt by summer. But it didn't. The men decided to face the cold and hike to the nearest trading post. They never made it. In 2015, researchers found the remains of the men. Their bones had been boiled and cracked open to reach the marrow on the inside. The men had eaten each other to survive. Unsettling? Yeah, I think so. Feet up. It was 1987 and a few archaeologists were going about their daily business doing a routine expedition of a cave in New Zealand. They weren't expecting anything out of the ordinary, but there, they stumbled upon a dinosaur-like foot that was so well preserved they were almost afraid a similar animal would still be alive today. Luckily not, it was just a perfectly preserved foot of a 3,300-year-old moa bird. Thank goodness. Summer love. Antarctica is not high on most people's bucket list of destinations to travel, but perhaps if it looked like it did around 50 million years ago, it would have been a very popular destination. Strangely unsettling to think that the area could possibly have been covered in palm trees and white sandy beaches, and the reason scientists are leaning towards this unconventional theory is that the fossilized remains of baobabs and ferns were discovered, and try as you might, you won't find those there today. The real deal. When you hear the word kryptonite, it's easy to visualize Superman. You wouldn't think it was a real thing discovered in a mine in Serbia. This mineral was studied and discovered to be made up of sodium, lithium, boron, silicate, hydroxide, the same substances that make up Superman's greatest fear. Researchers must have felt a little panicked when they realized that, thankfully, the white powdery substance is not radioactive. Because of international nomenclature rules, the mineral was called jadeite. Leading the way. The Egyptian pyramids are possibly the most well-known structures in the world, and for years it's been believed they are a first of their kind in terms of sheer size, shape, and method of construction. It would really make history books unstable if pyramid building began long before the Egyptians built theirs. But that's what amateur archaeologist Samir Osmanagic has suggested. He believes that people were building them in Bosnia long before the Egyptians were building theirs. Give him time, he may still find strong proof to back up his interesting theory. To infinity and beyond. Well, maybe just to Earth, but unsettling nonetheless. Swiss and German scientists found that regardless of the intense pressure changes and high temperatures, DNA can survive re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. In order to confirm this discovery, the team placed DNA fragments on the outside of a rocket, and after the 13-minute trip into space, the genetic blueprints remained unchanged.
This unsettling discovery means that some extraterrestrial molecules could make their way to Earth. Or maybe an intergalactic disease could forge its way in.
Nothing to sneeze about. There are many theories about how humanity will be wiped out, but bird flu is not high on the list. Truth is, bird flu could potentially wipe out humanity. The H5N1 virus claims the lives of more than half its victims, but the difference is that bird flu is not usually spread like human flu. Wild ducks are generally the carriers of this virus, which goes on to affect domestic poultry and finally humans. There are vaccines that have been developed, but should this virus evolve to be passed on as easily as the flu virus, we will have a very serious problem on our hands. Plastic, not so fantastic. We were blissfully unaware of the harmful side effects of plastic until 2014, when it was discovered that xenoestrin bisphenol A, or BPA, that is common in most plastics, acted as a synthetic estrogen. This implies that exposure could lead to the growth of tumors in the uterus or fertility problems. They bind themselves to receptors on spermatozoa and cause major problems with sperm motility. Longer exposure also brought on breast cancer, diabetes, and heart attacks. The chemical leaks into food and drinks that have been stored in the plastic and then makes its way into our body through drinking and eating. Trust me, I'm a robot. You must be very trustworthy to put your life in the hands of a robot, and already robots are assisting with operations globally. Handing over full reign is a totally different matter. The Da Vinci, a medical robot, has been in circulation for 18 years already, with improvements being done all the time. The difference is that it's still a human set of hands guiding the machine. The first human volunteers for complete robotic surgery have not come forward as yet. Might be something to consider if you'd like your name to go down in history. The Global Man. This unsettling discovery must have given people nightmares for ages because although bog people are not that uncommon, it's the way the Global Man died that's creepy. He had large gashes in his neck, indicating that he was probably sacrificed in the hope of a good harvest. Another one bites the dust. This unsettling discovery might make you rethink a bunker or safe place to hide because a meteor has almost hit the Earth. Doomsday stories could be more fact than fiction as thousands of meteors have been recorded traveling past Earth. A close incident occurred in 2017 with a meteor getting really close and personal with Earth. In space terms, it was a few million miles, but those in the know were quite panicked about the proximity. The meteor was called Florence, and hopefully we don't meet the rest of her family anytime soon. Body to body. Another bog body to make our list is Windaby the First, found in a peat bog in northern Germany in 1952. The body was always called the Windaby Girl because it was thought to be the remains of a 14-year-old girl. Recently, DNA has proven that the body belongs to a 16-year-old boy and dates back to sometime between 41 and 118 CE. You can go view that body at the Landesmuseum at the Schloss Gottorf in Schleswig, Germany. Nothing to shout about. Screaming mummies are the thing of nightmares, and they've been terrifying people for hundreds of years. Gaston Maspero, the head of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, opened a plain sarcophagus in 1886 and was met with the horrifying mask of a screaming mummy. The mummy was bound by the hands and feet and buried in sheepskin, which ancient Egyptians deemed unclean. Was he screaming in horror at his fate? Turns out no, he was simply doing what nature intended, and with the onset of decay, the head fell backwards. Zombie Nation. Caterpillars are not the most endearing critters to look at, and now they've become even more unpleasant. In the UK, caterpillars caught what was dubbed the zombie virus. The caterpillars became infected with baculoviruses, which prevent the caterpillar from molting and forces them to keep eating.
When the caterpillar is big and fat, the parasite makes it crawl onto a leaf, where it is scooped up by a bird, or where it will explode, whichever one comes first.
Mighty unsettling. Did you know that mites live in your eyelashes? The thought of anything creepy-crawly on your body is enough to give people the shivers, but eyelash mites are a real thing, and they live on human eyelashes and hair for survival. They're called demodex, and they don't cause any health problems for the host. You wouldn't even know if you had them living on you or not. Not sure if that's reassuring for you or the exact opposite, but these guys are related to ticks and even spiders, albeit distantly. 1 billion and counting. Using a Kepler Space Telescope, NASA made a startling and unsettling discovery. They discovered that there could be 1 billion planets that are a lot like Earth. The possibility of so many planets that could possibly hold life? It's pretty surreal.
Unsettling enough for you? If not, maybe this next one is enough to get you.
Bone dry. It's not something we would consider doing now, but in pre-Aztec civilizations, the bones of family members were often used to create tools. The ancient city of Teotihuacan brought forward other household instruments also made from bone, including combs, buttons, and cutlery. In Somerset, England, bones were shaped into drinking cups thought to have been used by a cannibalistic group 14,000 years ago.
Those are a ton of unsettling discoveries so far. We still have the best one to go. But let me know which one unsettled you most so far. For me, it's the eyelash mites.
1. Pig-headed. Scientists have been working on creating animal and human hybrids for a while, and the entire concept leaves people divided. In 2017, scientists announced that they were able to create a human mouse-pig hybrid with great success. The human cells were successfully introduced to the host, and research is still underway. Previous experiments saw the success of mouse-rat hybrids, but this time human stem cells were implanted into a pig. They remained there for 4 weeks until they were removed. The embryos survived, although they then only had less than 1% of human cells remaining. The next step is figuring out if a pig embryo can manage to create human organs. This could be the solution to the lack of human organs available for transplant.